Hi Mahesh,
Hi,
welcome to Sudeep Audio channel.
thank you.
Uh, a lot of people told us to bring you on the channel because you've been around for years now
Right.
as a guitarist, as a part of a very popular band.
Yeah,
Started off as Rock Machine.
yeah,
That's how you kind of
yeah.
moved on to and then formed Indus.
Industry in some 93 or 94 it was.
And you're still going strong.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, great. So, for the sake of a lot of people who have heard your music and haven't had the opportunity to know you, could you run us through your musical journey with highlighting about how you got into the field and stuff like that, who you learned from?
Okay. Well, as far as I can remember, way back since I was a child, I've been told by my parents that my mom couldn't feed me unless there was some music playing in the background.
Wow.
And it just happens that my dad comes from a very family of artists, musicians and artists, not professional musicians, but professional artists, they're sculptors and painters, and so I guess somewhere down the line the genes have come through.
Okay.
And yeah, I have early memories of my dad and mom. My mom used to listen to the radio a lot of the old Hindi movies before it became Bollywood. So a lot of the old Hindi songs used to play on the radio. So music was around all the time in my house. And my dad used to have this old record player with those 33.5 RPM and 45 RPM records, vinyl records. And I used to listen to a lot of, very obscure music. I don't know, yet got some Mexican music, some Japanese music and stuff, but it was music. So whatever played for me, it was music to my ears. And I got into, and a lot of my friends were growing up in Bombay. A lot of them are Catholics, so they used to listen to a lot of Western music, Western pop music, like Beatles and stuff. So somehow I got into that. And the turning point really came was once when I heard Who's Next by The Who, the album. My brother had got these three albums. He had borrowed three albums from a friend. One was The Who, Who's Next, one was Led Zeppelin 3, and the third was Santana Abraxas. So I heard Who's Next, and for me that was turning point. I moved on from pop to rock and roll and little harder sounds. So yeah, and then I heard Led Zeppelin, and for me, guitar for some reason was always I don't know why I don't think I chose a guitar. It was just something that I was drawn to, and I always wanted to play guitar. That one I never thought of playing drums, piano, or anything of that sort. And then I started playing pretty late in life actually. It was after I finished school. Must have been around 19, 20 or something.
Is that late?
Yeah, I think it is because now today kids start playing at 5 and 6 years old. So it was so, and then I borrowed a friend's guitar. It was an old Spanish classical nylon string guitar and I had strung it up with those old Karuna strings. So the action was almost half an inch. But I didn't know any better because I had not played any other guitar. I thought that was the way the guitars are supposed to be. So I learned to play on an acoustic, a nylon string with a steel string, strung up with steel strings, and that's how I listened to records. And we didn't have internet at those days, no YouTube, so you had to listen to music and work it out on your own. So
Do you think that helped? Because
definitely,
not having
definitely,
YouTube helped in terms of learning?
definitely helped in the sense because it helped my ears for sure. And now I've become very lazy, you know. And a lot of the kids are very lazy today because they have these easy access, which is also good. It's great that they have access to all this stuff, but they should also make the effort to learn for themselves rather than have everything spoon fed.
So you haven't had a formal teacher?
Well, I did take classical guitar lessons for about 6 months, and it did help me because, for like I said, acoustic guitar for me for some reason is very dear to me. And the first time I actually picked up an electric guitar was for the first rehearsal of Rock Machine. I had never played a electric guitar before that. I learned, like I said, I learned to play on this old acoustic guitar with half-inch action. And the first time I actually played a electric guitar was the first time we put this band together. And the bass player Mark Selvin, he used to have a Suzuki Les Paul copy. And that was the first time I actually picked up electric guitar, plugged in, and I started playing all the stuff that I was playing on the acoustic. I started playing, and all the leads and all that stuff. So
Right.
that was
So when you choose your guitar, your instrument, which you love to play and practice on, is there any specific things that you look for before kind of selecting a particular model?
the first thing anyone, I think, when you pick up a guitar, should be the playability of the guitar, which is easy to play. Is it? Secondly, to stay in tune, and then of course how it sounds. And I think a lot of sound is depends on how you play the guitar. You can a good guitar player can make a shitty guitar sound good. So playability is the most important thing. Make sure it's easy to play, and it stays in tune, and then you can make it sound good.
Right.
Yeah.
As a band and as a musician, right from your mid-80s onwards till today, have you found surviving by playing as a band very easy? I mean, very a viable option, a very easy career or growth
Well,
in terms of money?
I don't think it's easy at all, especially if you're in a band situation. It's not easy.
I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about when you started off and you.
Even then, it wasn't easy. Uh, Actually, I never considered anything other than music as a career for me, in whatever form. So for me, it didn't matter. As long as I was playing music, for me, it wasn't really the money. Yes, we did, I guess. And those days, I was staying with my parents and stuff, so money wasn't. I didn't have the responsibilities that I have today. So it was great fun. It was great fun, and I never thought about the money. But yes, it was difficult even then. Those days to make a living playing in a band, rock and roll band, is unthinkable. But I think we were possibly the first. Maybe I'm wrong. The first band that actually, we had. I had a day job for a very short while, which I really didn't take seriously, and I was just looking for an excuse to quit. Our bass player Mark had a day job. He had a very good job, which he quit, and none of us had any other income other than music. So I think we were the first professional band, if you want to call it that way, and we had all the time in the world to devote to music. We didn't have any responsibilities. We were not, we didn't have day jobs and stuff. So yeah, so it was tough, but we were having fun. So looking back now, retrospect is always But
Any social pressures in terms of because India is very closed in some matters in some ways. Where your house, your car, your bank balance is the first.
You know what? Actually, I think we're fortunate. None of our parents in the band, none of them put any pressure on us really. I would say my parents weren't really discouraging, nor did they really encourage me. They said, okay, this is what you want to do, and this is the only thing that you can do. I was really bad in my studies and stuff, so if you're going to make it, this is the only chance to do it, way to do it, then go for it. Wish you all the best. But they never actively, pushed me and said, you got to play music, and they just let me do what I want to do.
That's great. Very few have such parents, who encourage their
kids. I guess, because everyone, they want to please everybody else, I guess.
Yes, that's true. Have you ever thought of playing for movies? Because that's a big commercial thing for us. There's a lot of money.
Playing for movies, I did a couple of things. I played on a couple of tracks for A.R. Rahman, for some South Indian movies, and one Hindi movie also, many years ago. And then I played on I think there was some guitar parts I played on that Andaz Apna Apna many years ago. I think these are things I remember. But not really. I never considered ever actively going into movies and playing for movies of Bollywood or whatever.
Okay.
That wasn't my scene. Even though I listened to a lot of, like I said, I have this subconsciously, I heard a lot of this Bollywood music, which my mom used to listen to on the radio, and I like a lot of that stuff. Now I still listen to it. If it comes on the TV, they have a show called Total Recall. They play all these old Hindi movie songs, and I've heard every one of them. I'm not kidding. Any movie of the song, I've heard that song before.
Right.
But I never thought it's not my scene really. I like listening to it and stuff. I don't think I can fit into that.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Is there anywhere, as a rock band or as a musician, can be a personal thing, may not be your band's views, is there some kind of an angst for Bollywood in terms of what is happening today? Like you have a lot of Bollywood live shows, which earlier used to be a live orchestra.
Yeah.
Now you have a lot of these tracks playing, because the audience, the quality of listening or the quality of the sound also has changed. The PA systems have become very nice compared to what you must have seen. Is there anything that you feel that should be done by musicians who are playing in the Bollywood industry?
A lot of the people who play in Bollywood are very great musicians. Musicians of really high caliber, and good for them. That's what they want to do, and they have to make a living doing that. Yeah, there are definitely most of the people who play in live Bollywood and they're great musicians, but I don't know exactly. And Bollywood's at one point it was never not really mainstream. It was more like, I remember in my college days, if you listen to Hindi music and Hindi movies and stuff, oh man, you should look down. Oh, these are vernacular shit. You don't want to know. It was, of course, that stupid prejudice, but yeah. But today is now coming to the mainstream, so even people who are into rock and roll and stuff, they want to play Hindi music, and they. So I don't know. It's depends on you really. Depends on the person. If you want to do that, it's great. But and technology, of course, has helped. And like you said, great sound, great lights. Everything has become like more of a entertainment. It's just not about music. It's about entertaining and having the whole performance and all actually the lights and dancers and great sound and stuff like that. So yeah, why if it works? And
As a rock band, you will never want to do something like that
Bollywood kind of thing, you mean?
on your with your songs
You know
on
what?
stage.
We don't have. We'd love to do that. We'd love to have a whole experience, but unfortunately, rock and roll monies don't. We don't that it won't justify. If, we don't make that kind of money. We don't have those kind of budgets. We do mostly college fests and stuff. So yeah, I'd love to do that, but money is the biggest constraint.
A lot of people feel, or from the music circle, feel that that the quality of music is going down. You have very similar sounding songs coming out every day, commercial songs.
Well, that's a subjective thing. Quality of music is very subjective. And I agree, for me, a lot of the music is, and I've said this before also, a lot of the Bollywood composers, without naming anybody, blatantly rip off songs and call it their
But that
own.
has been happening maybe,
Earlier,
earlier, no?
earlier also, I would say, but the thing is like when people like SD Burman and all, they did stuff, they kind of made it their own. There, of course, there are a lot of, even R.D. Burman, I know, though I love a lot of his music, he's guilty of copying a lot of Western things. But here it is, I think it's done shamelessly out here, more than anything.
But these could be influences. Like we have 12 notes.
Yeah.
I mean, you could play around that.
I follow that. That's taking that into consideration. You use the same notes exactly in the same sequence, in the same tempo, the same time signature, and the same phrasing. You can't call that a creative coincidence.
Can't it be inspiration?
That's a
I'm not talking about any
that's a
particular.
polite way of saying. In Bollywood, is a polite way of saying I've ripped it off.
Does this happen in rock bands or rock music also?
Yes, it does.
It does.
Of course, it does. It happens everywhere. But not where such stakes are so high and people are making so much money off copying other people's music.
So,
And they get away with it.
But if you're saying that it just happens in rock bands or in rock songs also, not just India, we're not talking about India itself. We're talking about the world, music across the world.
Yeah.
Why should that have a problem unless, like you said, the original composer is not being paid for, or
Well, a lot of times
doesn't know.
there is a system where you cannot rip off, and if you're sued, you're in big trouble. I mean, you could be really sued, and it's happened all the time. It happens all the time when you're caught copying someone's music. It could be just like 3 bars also, and if you don't give credit and if you don't pay the copyrights, you're in big trouble.
These days people do buy rights and
Yeah, a lot of people do. I know, like there was a song, I think that Shankar Ehsan,
There's a song called Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman. They actually bought the rights and they acknowledge, they give credit.
So that's fine.
That's
no?
fine.
Because-
That's fine. They have no problem with that. When you're stealing someone's music and making money off it and not giving due credit,
That upsets you as a musician?
well, I think upsets me. I should upset anybody actually, especially if you're making a lot of money doing that.
Have you as a musician also been influenced by a lot of, I'm sure, guitarists and rock bands from outside India?
Yeah.
Which are the ones that really kind of, draw you close towards them, because it's a very individual choice and taste? What kind of musicians do you get influenced by, or your favorites?
Well, today they could be different. They could be different every day. They could be different every week. But the guys who have had a lasting impact on me was when I was learning. I got into guitar players. I got into this band called Wishbone Ash. Then they had this whole twin guitar sound, which was actually then influenced. They influenced bands like Thin Lizzy and then later Iron Maiden also. So then I used to listen to a lot of Michael Schenker of UFO, German guitar player, and then Steve Lukather. So these guys have had a, when I was learning, they've had a very lasting impact on me. So yeah, and now I don't listen to so much guitar music really. I listen to all kinds of music. For a while I got into scores, film scores, and stuff like that. So it could be anything. It really doesn't matter. I don't have to. Doesn't have to be rock. Doesn't have to be metal or progressive rock. Anything that sounds good to me can influence me, and
Right. So, to fans of rock today who still are, waiting for something coming from industry, is there anything that is happening as an album, as a release, or new
yeah,
songs?
we are actually now the last we put on an album 2012 or 2 years ago, and we've discovered that putting out an album and recording an album and putting it out doesn't make financial sense anymore. It takes a lot of time and effort and a lot of money and things. So now what we're gonna do is we're recording the process of recording two new songs in the street, and we're putting out maybe every couple of months, putting out singles, 2 or 3 songs at a time, and then maybe at the end of it all, put it out as a compilation album, which makes financial and economic sense.
A lot of young kids, told us that please ask him these kind of questions and all in this conversation. They've seen you with long hair and in the past. So I mean, I'm talking about their parents maybe. So what would you advise children of today to listen to besides the Bollywood music that they're being exposed to?
I listen to something that inspires you. I can't tell them what kind of music because everyone has different. Just whatever that inspires you, what music that makes you want to pick up the instrument and practice and give you that kick in the pants and say, man, this is what I want to do, and this is what I want to sound like. So as long as music, there's something that inspires you and makes you want to be better, listen to that. It could be anything. It could be Bollywood. It could be rock and roll. It could be classical. Whatever you want, but it has to move you and want to make you a better player, better musician.
On that note, thanks a lot for spending time with us, man.
Thanks.
And thanks for sharing your experiences and views on
Thank
various
you.
things. Thanks.